The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive. And what a first series upset to start off our day. And Alex, we didn't end the 2-0s. We still got them coming.
Still have them coming. I thought that one was going to get us 3 games. I did put my predictions in yesterday. I thought Fear was going to take that one, but I thought it was going to be a lot closer.
You did?
I did.
Why didn't you tell us that before?
I said that yesterday.
What?
In the meeting,
Oh,
I said I thought Fear was going to win.
Come on, that doesn't
Alex is
count.
just going to keep saying this. He's going to make up things and keep
How does
saying that I
not
said it
count?
yesterday.
How does that not count? I told
Tweet
them.
it, you coward. Tweet it before the series, you
Yeah,
coward.
yeah. Tell him, Cubby. Tell
I
him.
never
Get him.
tweet, so
Get him.
there's my first problem.
All right, we got to move on to our next series of the day, and that's going to be Disguised versus FlyQuest Challenger. So let's pull up the rosters right now. Starting with Disguised, 3 returning champions, 2 young pieces of talent looking to boost up with the rest of the squad. And so far, so good right now. Alex, how are we liking them?
I mean, so far so good. They are looking like they're turning everything up, and they are looking a lot stronger. Like yesterday, they absolutely dominated AoE in those games, and it seems like what we're kind of talking about with Cincinnati Fear, a team that was kind of needing an identity. These guys really have gotten themselves this identity with Young more on these melees, still putting Meech on the carries. But then Fake God, that Rumble, there's a reason why we were talking about it yesterday. We'll talk about it today. It's going to probably be permanently banned.
Don't talk about it. There's no choice. We saw it. It's gone. All right? It's done.
All right, just like we're moving on to our next roster, we don't need to... We can save that conversation, shelf it for a moment. As FlyQuest Challengers, a team that played with a lot of discipline, as you said so lovingly, Cubby.
This team has been really impressive to me. I think their strategic diversity, they played EGC and beat them in a 1-3-1 composition, something that they fell victim to as they got 2-0'd by EG playing those types of comps just 2 weeks prior. Then we saw them return to the team fighting comp, and EG, not an easy team to take down, and they were challenged in that second game, but still we saw FlyQuest hold strong. It feels like this team can play early game. They can play scaling, they can play poke, they can play team fight, which is their bread and butter, as they're going to look to butter up some toast today.
You know, and we have a little bit of friendly banter coming out from both of our squads, as we know Masu to be the Wi-Fi wizard, while Disguised want to try and steal that title away for Meech, as we have right here on tape.
I meant to say Meech. Meech is
Meech?
yeah, his ping is it's 130 ping. Okay, it's actually a joke that Zazel wanted to say, like make, where we keep incrementing the ping by like 10 or 20 each time, just to see when people would notice.
He's playing on 110 ping, really 1v9ing.
He's on high ping, really high ping.
I think Meech is good too, with his playing with from 140 ping,
170 ping, 300 ping,
350 ping. He got a pentakill with 350 ping.
410 ping.
I think it's 420, which is, I don't know how he reaches that point, because I'm in Taiwan right now and I've been playing League, and my ping's like 160. So he's somewhere even further than where I am. So I have no idea.
It's crazy.
It's actually insane, but he's still able to like go get pentakills, get aces. So I don't know how he does it.
It's also funny because yesterday that got increased to 450 now.
Yeah.
It was 450 that I think Young said.
I feel like that thumbs up was even delayed from Meech. You know, maybe that's pinged it.
What always gets to me is Grape's face during that whole video where he's just... Like, he has to take it in for just a moment there. Obviously, they're just memeing. It's just a little bit of friendly banter before between both of them. Meech doesn't get that high. It's actually somewhere in the 700s that his ping is. So we have that now actually corrected. And speaking of Meech, let's take a look at the bottom lanes for these two teams, because this is where a lot of the focus is going to be. DSG having both Meech and Zazel, who's been a great engager for this squad, showing up to perform in playoffs, Cubby.
I was so impressed with Zazel's play yesterday. He was on fire in these games, on the Rel and the Alistar, and his ability to sync up with Fake God's Rumble, that was, or I should say, the Rel and the Amumu. The Alistar, that was from earlier in the split, man. We know Zazel can play that too, but him syncing up with his team, he was the one dictating the engages, telling his team, hey, go in with me now. And it looked way too good for Disguise. They took that 2-0 over AoE.
Like right there, that flash in with the ult to make sure that he lands right onto Darkwings as well. I love that it was the bandage toss just to get the distance with Concept. And they're like, all right, perfect. I'm in a perfect position. We can lock them down, and they can't really fight back. And it created a lot of space, I think, for Meech as well, where Meech, like, look at this play. How far Breezy had to chase for Meech. And same with Will, just to pick up that kill eventually. Yeah. But that was so much used just to get on top of him. That meant that they were free firing on the rest of AoE the whole time.
Yeah, you get Meech in the late game. He can position very, very well. Zeyzal can always be that big boy who gets the engage going for the squad. Definitely showed it yesterday. But now that we have those two framed up, I'm curious what Zeyzal has on his mind when it comes to his opponent, Masu.
How Meech plays into that is he is a bit of a maniac. You know, he's kind of I would say he's probably the best mechanical player in NACL right now from bot lane. He's playing on 110 ping, really 1v9ing. Yeah, I mean, Masu wishes he was this guy, but moving on. Yeah.
I always like when the heat gets thrown around, right, Cubby?
It's fun, man. Zeyzal always has fun with it too. You know, it's the creative banter that we like to see.
I just like that Masu wishes he could be Meech. That part of the interview kills me every time.
Honestly, delivered like he could be acting on the big stage too. I mean, he sold it to me.
That's what I want, though. I want the banter to come out. I want the words to be said and for it to be backed up on the Rift. And FlyQuest have a bot lane that can back it up on the Rift, having both Masu and Winsome. And FlyQuest have kind of developed this strategy of protect Masu, get him into the late game, and he will treat you so well, Magical.
And the thing about Masu that has been crazy is just watching his heads-up plays and the mechanics to dodge away from so many things simultaneously while re-engaging a lot of these fights. I think that's why everyone's been so impressed by this player. It is his third competitive split, I believe, that he's in. That is how new this player is really to the scene. And he has really blown everyone away with how he positions in a lot of these fights. What he's able to do, and then landing these skill shots. Like
AP Cog! The AP Cog!
I think I was counting some of those fights, and he missed like 1 out of like every 10 shots.
I think it's just so impressive that it feels like Masu is a tier 180 carry playing at a tier 2 league. And he has really stepped up and evolved his play this split. You brought up the Kog'Maw in that last clip, but we haven't seen him play any mages until this split. And he's picking up the mages and making it look like he's been playing them for his entire career. It's been really good to see from him as he continues to be one of, if not the strongest individual performer that we have competing, not just for this team, but honestly in the entire league. Again, this guy, what he's doing, it's been so consistently impressive. And he's going to need it today if his team wants to overcome Disguised.
And Masu has blown us all out of the water with the performances that he's done. It's going to be excited to see him on the Rift facing off against this bottom lane of Disguised. And speaking of, the draft is now ready and set to go. So I don't want to delay this anymore. Go ahead, send us to Draft Magical.
All right, let us get into our second series of the day in the upper bracket. FlyQuest Challengers versus Disguised. The winner of this will move on and face off against Cincinnati Fear, as well as guarantee that they are a top 3 team for the summer split. With how both teams have been playing recently, we look at Disguised. I think the last 8 games they had of the regular split, they were 7-1, only dropping a game to, oddly enough, Supernova. And then FlyQuest having the best record of any team in the second half of the round robin.
Disguised have been on fire. Like, they beat AoE pretty soundly yesterday, and AoE is a team that I feel like as a 6 seed, I think pretty highly of. Disguised made that look pretty easy on their side. So gonna be really interesting series to see. I want to really see what kind of approach FlyQuest takes, because I feel like Disguised, a lot of it is kind of how like Fear plays, just taking meatballs in the utility roles and trying to create as much space as possible for Young and Meech. Now that is really the bread and butter composition for FlyQuest, leaning on Spyrex and Masu and these 2 carries, but we have seen them play so many different strategies, and at the moment, a lot of those strats are up as some of the junglers we've seen, Maokai, Poppy, Sejuani, all being somewhat taken off the table going into today, but every jungler except for that Kindred left on the board is a lot of solo lane focus in these bans.
I'm also looking at that Kaisa, Rel, both making their way through Renekton and Xayah. A lot of these powerful picks have been left open by each team, kind of taking away what they see as more the current flavors that Rumble taken away from Fake God. We're expecting that to be permanently banned against Disguise for the rest of the tournament. But as you rightfully called out, that Maokai, this is one of the Tomio's best performing champions that he has here in the summer split outside of that Sejuani.
Going into today, Tomio is 16-2, 8-1 each on the Maokai and the Sejuani. So this is a counter matchup technically. Sejuani has the ability to make plays onto Maokai in the earlier stages of the game. But Tomio has shown that he's very comfortable on the champion. I think he takes very good engage angles with it. And Disguise, they sync it up with stuff like Renata from Zeyzal in the bot lane, which has been really powerful for them. So want to see if that ends up being the case later in the draft. But at the moment, that Kai'Sa that UTs was so dominant has been locked in. Now we'll see if FlyQuest decides to deny something like Rel. And also the strategy with the Sejuani is that if it is Kai'Sa mid, you take something like Yone to just try and pressure and bully that champion out as much as you can early before it gets to 3 items. So I estimate the strat here for FlyQuest, Jax and Yone likely to be locked in. This is what they did in game 1 yesterday against Evil Genius's Challengers, as they found a strong win there. It will be likely a mage and some magic damage coming from the bot lane later on to the draft for FlyQuest, but at the moment, Disguise have the opportunity to power pick Rel, or they could decide to match Jax or Yone with this pick.
They could easily put that Kai'Sa into the bot lane for Meech as well, and it looks like we're getting the Poppy taken by Disguise. That is going to be for Fake God here in the top lane.
I like Poppy because there are dashes for all 3 champions showing.
Great.
Fake God has been someone that has really adapted the Poppy, and you know, as a LCK enjoyer, I think we have seen a lot more Poppy in both LCK and LPL than we have seen in the Western regions. At least Poppy top. So this is something that Fake God has shown he can play. It doesn't really matter how the laning phase goes. You were so useful in team fights later on. So DSG very much indexing towards those team fights, whereas FlyQuest is about playing out those 3 lanes, making sure that your Jax and Yone are strong, and then you have a core to hold things together as the 3 in the mid lane. So Ziggs being taken away. Do we see a Kog'Maw ban here from Disguise?
That's what I was wondering. Like, is it worth banning that Kog'Maw after what we saw? Disguise saying, yeah, it very much is worth it, but then there are still these other mages that are available, and I think with Disguise, maybe here they kind of want to hold on to that flexibility of the Kai'Sa being in the bot lane as long as possible, grab themselves that support. Then FlyQuest, they still have the Xayah Rakan they can go for, even if they want to have more of the mixed damage in this bot lane. There's still a lot of options that FlyQuest have available to themselves.
So that Aurelia theoretically could try to contest Jax or Yone in the side lane. So FlyQuest taking that away, saying, no, we want you to have nothing that can contest us in the side lane. As Rakan's taken, so that Xayah Rakan is denied. That would be a no magic damage composition, but there would be so much early game for FlyQuest that Disguise might be worried that would take things over. Also, Rakan does pair up rather well with some of the mages in the bot side. So I will say going all armor or all AD into Poppy is very dangerous, as she can easily stack up armor. But that looks to be the case here for FlyQuest, as Xayah is locked in, and I honestly expect to see Winsome pick up that Leona or Nautilus, and likely to be the Leona, given what Winsome has gone towards recently. Also, really liking that matchup with Rakan. It is good for Leona, but this is going to be very much early game focused comp from FlyQuest that they need to win early, or else they will get outscaled.
Yeah, they've got to make sure they're playing aggressively, and I think Leona plays exactly into the hands that you were talking about. The early pressure that FlyQuest can now put on so many of these lanes simultaneously. They're going to really make it difficult for Disguise, and grabbing Young's Akali here to go up against Spiract on Yone. That is going to be a spicy matchup.
He is undefeated on the Akali, and Akali can interact very well with a lot of the champions that you see on your screen. It is a volatile matchup in the mid lane for Yone versus Akali. I think that is slightly Akali favored for Young, and Young's Akali, it's been so good in the team fights, the way that he finds angles on this champion. Young always looking to make plays, and Akali is a champion that really enables him to make the plays that have been so good for Disguise on this 9-1 tear they've had in their last 10 games, including playoffs and regular season.
Yeah, Disguise definitely have put the pedal to the metal. 3 of our champions from spring here playing for Disguise with the 2 new players in Young and Meech. And they have been looking red hot, even going up against FlyQuest, where you have players like Yuji and Spirax, who are now on their 2nd year of playing together as a unit and having new elements in Masu, Winsome, Faisal. But it seemed like they were the strongest team coming into playoffs. So many teams were talking about this team, FlyQuest Challengers, being the one to beat here in playoffs. Even talking to Young yesterday, he said this matchup looking like it's going to be the most difficult one they'll have here in the playoffs, and they're facing it already.
This is going to be a good one. And honestly, for me, early on, all eyes going to be on Yuji to see what he can do in these early games.
Yeah, and we've even talked to Spyrex on his expectations for FlyQuest going into the playoffs. So let's listen.
I think the expectations for the team is mainly to win NACL. We think we have like the potential and ability to win the whole split. But ultimately, it'll just come down to whichever team is most prepared for their upcoming matches and whichever team like drafts best. And
FlyQuest look prepared, if you ask me. Have a pretty good composition early game, but I think that's going to be the big thing with FlyQuest and what we've seen be their success as a team in summer. The early game plays, attacking the spot lane, making sure they can have Spyrex and Yuji work as a unit, moving around the map.
Well, see if that unit can hold strong, but at the moment we do have our junglers starting mirrored clears. Tomio going to start on the AoE camps, go for the early respawn, whereas Yuji pathing for the buff first. So camps will spawn a little bit later, but expect to see Yuji make some early plays here as Tomio. Oh, actually going to go reverse clear. I think this is good from Tomio. They lose push into this matchup on the bot side, even with the leash from Masu and Winsome. So Tomio's going to try and take these camps away, protect himself from a potential invade if we were to see Yuji work towards that top side.
Even good look to Tomio to maybe look for an early play in the spot lane. But at the moment, I don't expect that to be the case. I'm really looking towards how the mid jungles for each side are going to team up. Even if we put a lot of attention on Meech, Zeyzal, Masu, Winsome in pre-show, I feel like that's going to be a matchup we'll see later down. You know, maybe 15 minutes into the game. That's when we'll really start talking about it. But until then, I feel like it's the mid jungle and how they sync up.
Has been so key in so many of these playoff games already. And at the moment, you can see Spyrax finds an nice Q3. Spyrax very good on his melee champions against Spyrax. The biggest compliment that I can give him is that it feels like any archetype of champion that Spyrax plays, he is always competent on them. That's definitely not something we see out of all of our players, even at the pro level. For Spyrax, I really haven't seen a champion where it's like, all right, I don't want to see him have this one again, right? It's usually like, okay, you know what, just didn't work out that time, right?
Yeah, he's usually someone who learns fast, and I think one of the reasons why he got picked up by FlyQuest from Maryville, you looked at this player and you could see that he had such an ability to grow during his time in collegiate, and that's only been exponential since joining the academy, now the challenger circuit here with FlyQuest and teaming up with another collegiate player in Yuji with the team.
Yeah, some history there as collegiate background. None on the side of this guys, but of course we have seen some of our collegiate players do very well, as APA notably at the moment, alumni as well from Maryville University and Spyrax. Doing his best up there on the big stage as Miss APA here, but great to see him being successful. As we see Yuji, he goes for that scouting ward onto Tomio. So Tomio actually has a great clear here. He was able to full clear, and he's a little bit delayed, but he will be able to pick up his Raptor respawn on the back half of the reverse clear. And Yuji should be able to scout him out when he does go to clean up that Gromp, because it will be the next camp that respawns first for Tomio. It's going to be a base after this. But overall, these guys in this game, they have scaling advantage on their team, Mad Magical. So Tomio getting a clear off like this and no early blood coming in from FlyQuest Challengers, very good for this guys.
Yeah, they got an Akali, they got Kaisa. Kind of want to get some of those items anyways for themselves. Well, for FlyQuest, feels like I think they're just being too quiet right now. Even if it's really early into the game, Cubby, I feel like this team comp has to be firing on all cylinders right out of the gates. We need to really see Yuji try to attack this top side of the map. That is why you draft this at 20 in Jack's combo in the first place.
Yeah, and we'll see if Yuji's able to get involved, as he has wrapped up his second spawn of the Krugs and the Raptors now. So I expect him to go to the top side, but actually at the moment, there is still bot lane priority for FlyQuest, so will be a level 4 Dragon take. FlyQuest have a very big wave. They have Preps for the crash in. Masu also has a shop, so that should be enough to prevent these guys from even looking at this, but just slow down Yuji from getting to that top side. which we think is really important in this matchup.
Plus, Spyrax getting, I think, a good trade there against Young, forcing him away from the wave for just a moment of time was enough pressure. You can see right now how he's trying to keep Young in this threatened position where the wave's kind of frozen, but he's got to be careful when doing so, because Young still can do a lot of damage, and if he takes 6, you're definitely going to die, but Spyrax, he's the one who got it first.
This is okay for Spyrax, as Young burned that TP, so Spyrax can TP back and he'll have a full health bar and a better buy. So Spyrax is going to be okay with that.
Now he'll be fine to be able to get back to the lane really quickly here. It's Young. I think Young's really got to be threatened here on what he can do and how he can leave this lane, because at the moment it does feel like it is Spyrax getting the better end of this trade into Young's Akali, and I think Young really needs to find a way to get outside of this lane, because at the moment it feels like he's corralled too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit. I think that I'm curious to see what happens with this Herald fight, because I look at the top side of FlyQuest, and especially if you are able to bring Leona up, I favor FlyQuest in Herald fight. I think they do more damage earlier on in the game. It's also a really nice sidestep there on the Grand Entrance for Zazel. Going to be able to trade out okay as FlyQuest get that wave in. They're going to base 1 minute before the Herald. Should be able to get back, push that, and then we'll see if FlyQuest move to go attack the Herald or not.
Marks fighting a little bit here against Young in the mid lane. Again, wrestling for control between these two. With FlyQuest at the moment having a bit of an advantage. They've gotten some recalls off. I'm looking at Winsome and look at how he's pathing right now. Looking towards that Rift Herald fight. Pathing already on that side of the map so that once Yuji's there too, they can start off that fight. And it's going to be difficult, like you said, for Disguise to do much about them, especially when we look at Spyrax here on the Yone.
Young though.
This is the problem. This is the problem you have. Even though he does flash and dash his way out of there, had to burn so much just to escape danger.
See if FlyQuest can get more. They're going to try and walk in and find Tomio. Tomio doing a good job of dropping at least a sapling to spot out Yuji. Yuji can walk through that. Just still spotted all full info here for each of our teams. This is a fight that is winning, but a nice knockback there.
It's going to be the Ignite dropped as well. Getting a lot of damage onto Tomio. Had the flash over the long wall, but he will make it out of there. Well, top lane, a little bit of a skirmish back and forth between Faisal and Fake God. Fake God getting the better end of that trade. But all in all, FlyQuest are the ones kind of gaining control slowly but surely of the bottom part of this map.
I think if you auto-attacked, he might have had that, actually.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Would have been close there. Nice try from Zazel, but you can see very close game. They were able to get a Summoner Spell out of Tomio, so it is something that FlyQuest can look to punish moving forward, but still, bot camps are up for Yuji, and he is skipping over those to sprint towards the Herald. So Herald's still going to be a fight that FlyQuest want to take. It could be tough for them, though, because at any point, Poppy's already up in this bot lane, and Poppy still has access to TP for Fake God. So if Disguise really want to play for this Herald, Fake God should get this wave in, fog, base, chop, TP back, and that is an angle that Disguise could then look to take the neutral objective for themselves.
Does look like they are setting that up with a little bit of a tussle in the mid lane. Spyrax and Young both wrestling for that control, but it is going to be that is FlyQuest. The first one's on the play, because you can see that Matsu was already there in the minimap.
Yeah, so it was bot prio for FlyQuest. They then walk up. Yuji forcing this stops Fake God from pulling off the play that I mentioned, as that would take too much time. And because Tomio is down to flash, there's just going to be no contest out of the sky. So first two neutrals go over to FlyQuest. I think given the composition they have drafted, this is expected. It's just the concern is that, is it enough? Because over time, there is no magic damage on the side of FlyQuest. It really is just going to be the Sunfire Cape from Yuji and the passive from Yone. That's really not enough, and it's going into a Poppy, and Poppy gets so damn tanky, just given her kit and the power of her W as well in that passive. So this comp, as time goes on, I very much do favor Disguise. FlyQuest, I don't feel like they have a lead right now that's big enough. They need to work on that in the next few minutes.
The only lead they really have is the fact they've gotten the 2 neutral objectives of the game. Otherwise, it's pretty even across the board. You can see that if there's a lead somewhere on the map for Disguise, it's answered on another part of the map by FlyQuest and vice versa. So for both teams, Disguise, we are looking for them to get those first items built up for themselves. And once those happen, it's going to be really difficult for FlyQuest to do much about it, especially because I'm looking more not just at Spyrex, but at Masu, and how can he play it into a lot of these fights, because you have a lot of champions that want to dive into this backline and get on top of someone that is very mobile and easy to pick off, like Isaiah.
I think I like how you bring that up, because it does put importance on this guy's taking angles, which I very much credited Young for, especially Tomio setting this up when he is on the Maokai. Has really nice sidestep coming out of both Meech and Masu. Going to get Disguise bot lane out of some trouble. No summoner spells having to be burned to escape potential spells coming down from Leona.
But with a lot of attention there from FlyQuest, they are starting up the third neutral objective of the game, the second dragon they can take, and with Tomia having already reset to get himself the Demonic Embrace, there's no answer that Disguise could have for themselves in this game. They just have to wait it out even further, wait for these big item spikes to crack.
Ooh, deep breath, Magical. FlyQuest still going to look for this bot lane. They have taken down one plate. I will say that for Yuji, in this type of game, I'm actually pretty keen to throw both Heralds mid to try and open things up that way. I think Maokai is someone that you have to look to punish this point of the game, whereas, hold on at the moment, Masu.
Masu's so low! That's before even having the Maokai show up, and now you've got the root max range on a Winsome, so he can't get out of that one. That is 2 kills for Disguised.
Oh boy, that is massive for the side of Disguise. Tomio throws out the perfect Nature's Grasp as it reaches the edge of the wall and makes sure that Winsome falls. And I want to take a second look at how Zeyzal was actually able to find that engage on the Masu. I wasn't sure if...
Well, let's put it on a pause really quick, because a lot of attention sent on to Young.
Nice.
Pretty good wombo combo there from FlyQuest to make sure that they got that kill. Does seem that Tomio is going to deny them getting any more plays from the play, while top lane, wow, we're just getting skirmishing all across the map here, Cubby.
Big guy winning out on this matchup and does so now until Divine Sunder's picked up. Faisal will have that. Another look. Masu wasn't able to sidestep that one. He then cleanses, goes up in the air, but after that, Meech can respond. The flash doesn't create enough space for Masu. It does get both sums out of Meech to respond and take the kill, but that's a great play from Zeyzal. Finds the grand entrance. Masu doesn't all that, goes down, and then keep in mind, Young, he burned that flash mid off of the same combo that we're going to see the FlyQuest mid-jungle duo execute here, which is Yone ult in the Sejuani ult. This time, Young doesn't have flash, and he does.
Yeah, just a nice, simple wombo combo there, layering the CC perfectly, so they can go back into the mid lane, pop down this Rift Herald that you called out, Cubby. But cracking this is going to be essential for FlyQuest, because they got to continue to accelerate this game. And right now, this game ain't accelerated. This is going at the same pace as a tricycle race.
Second Dragon was able to be picked up by FlyQuest, so that is a small win for them. Also, it is Divine Sunder now for Faisal, so this matchup gets easier for the Jacks in the top side, but you can still see Fate God doing some good work.
I was like, does it get any easier? Because right now, Fate God's looking like he's beating Faisal at the moment. And he's doing a good job, though. Does have to dash back. There's only so much damage a Poppy can do.
This Poppy's going to be scary, man. Plated steel caps as well. I'm sure that there is some tenacity in the runes, whether it be unflinching or maybe even going for the Yellow Tree, taking some tenacity there. Oh, it's Blue Tree.
Oh, it's Blue Tree.
I should have guessed that one, but either way, for the Poppy, that's going to be a champ where it really opens up the front to back and buys a lot of space for Meech. And this is still a game where, oh boy, Young's going to go in.
Yeah, Young goes in because he thinks he has the backup here.
Nope.
Tomio and Zeyzal are here, but he said did not connect as Zeyzal at least get Spyrex to pop out of his soul just to get a little bit of damage back, but Spyrex completely avoids danger and can continue to shove back this wave.
So with this first 3 picks for FlyQuest, keep in mind they picked that top side. Disguise did a great job of neutralizing this. I think the Poppy pick's really good at neutralizing all 3 champions. Yes, it's a lead for Spyrex in the mid lane, but overall, nothing has broken to the point where you are concerned if you are Disguised.
No.
And while all that's going on, we've seen what Kai'Sa can do at 3 items. It is a pick that is an absolute terror, a nightmare to deal with. And Meech, gotten that Shiv for free, has that small lead with the first blood himself. Disguise are in great shape right now, even if it's even on the scoreboard.
Even the Dragons still kind of shifted a bit back towards FlyQuest, so it's not like they're feeling like they're far behind. But they were the team on the timer, Cubby. There's a reason why we kept talking about that. This is a team that, as the game goes on, it gets harder for them to really do much to Disguise once Disguise starts grouping it together. You called out getting the plated steel caps already for Fake God. Once he gets that second item, and more than likely just going to be another armor item to deny anybody from FlyQuest to even touch this Poppy, all you have to do is put Fake God in front of everyone, and you get free damage from Meech.
Yeah, I would say at this point, I'm going to be a Bramble Vest advocate, given the Grass Sunder Jax and also the Bork on Spyrex. But at the moment, FlyQuest, he's in big trouble.
Big trouble. Bounced around, and even though he has to counter-strike the flash, the follow-up, they've got the roots. They connect for the kill.
Merry Christmas to Tomio, as that root finds him a little bit of 300 gold under the Christmas tree. Herald's going to be dropped topside. It will be a response from FlyQuest to see if Fake Guy can stop the double crash. But the big thing for Disguise pulling off that play, Dragon just spawned. It is a Hextech Soul, and they will deny Soul Point from FlyQuest. So Disguise doing even more to slow down this game as FlyQuest realize they're already getting outscaled a little bit.
That's going to be the TP coming in, and FlyQuest are in a horrible position right now. The Shuriken Flip not connecting could mean that's the fight stopped as Disguise. Gotta be careful. Fake God took a little bit of attention while Young was fighting with Spyrex inside of mid lane.
Got it.
Dragon secured for Disguise. That's all they need. Now you gotta make sure they get out of the danger too.
Yeah, FlyQuest should respond by taking this mid outer, and we'll see if they stick it. I think the FlyQuest should maybe push for the inner, as Disguise need to take resets. They just made a play bot. They took the Dragon. Need to go spend some of that gold, and that will be the case as Meech picks up the wave. But FlyQuest not going to stick too many resources in the mid lane to try and take this mid inner turret for themselves. So FlyQuest do find some gold, but again, overall, Disguise, they need to slow down this game. They denied the soul point for FlyQuest. And given the items that are in the inventories right now for Disguise, this is a game that is in great shape for them.
Yeah, Disguise have slowed down the game, I think, enough at the moment. They got to make sure they continue to play this one smart. As Fake God is taking a little bit too much damage from Faisal. The Roots coming out with the double ultimate there and the steadfast presence, so there is no escape for Faisal. But he leaps over to the ward. The flash coming in from Fake God. It secures the kill, while Meech finds himself in a horrible position now. He is definitely in Narnia.
That is behind enemy lines, and there is no mercy being shown by FlyQuest. As Meech, I'm not exactly sure how he got there. The flash was burned as well as the cleanse, so that's kind of a nice retaliation for FlyQuest in a map state that was not looking good for them off the kill that Disguise were able to find on the Faisal. So FlyQuest at least able to trade out Meech, get him off the map, and delay those 3 items. But it's still an even game, and once Kaisa gets 3 items, I think the game gets broken in Disguised favor. So all eyes on FlyQuest to see if they can push before Kaisa's able to get 3 items to find a big enough lead, or maybe even find a Baron at this point, Mad Magicals. That might be their saving grace.
Because I think that's going to be the biggest problem here. Yeah, you get this kill eventually on Meech mid lane. You can check out the minimap and see that he is really far out. But the bigger problem is
they TP'd.
You still lost Faisal. Yeah. You used TPs to pick up this kill onto Meech.
Okay.
And it was a trade across the board. You gained nothing further here for FlyQuest. This team has to be the ones in the lead. They have 1,000 gold now with the 2 dragons they got earlier, but it is a Hextech Soul that is on the line here. That if they can get, could help them overcome that 3-item spike that we're expecting here for Disguise.
Saving grace for FlyQuest might be that Yone does look to be the Wits End second, so very much a solo lane focused build with the Bork and the Wits End. Yone can win in the side lanes against Akali. Could create some space that FlyQuest needs. Maybe even attacking Meech could be the plan, but at the moment, you can see that Yone is matching the Poppy, and they are ignoring each other, as Poppy is too damn tanky, and Fake God took some of my advice on cast, which is obviously, you know, the players always listen to, Perma, and built the Bramble Vest for himself. So it's a lot more difficult now for Faisal and Spyrax to match Poppy in the side lane. Some of that sustain being taken away in this matchup is significant.
Like this look from Yuji. Got a good angle. Spot out that Meech and Zazel are peeling back. Kind of crazy. It feels like this game's been really tense for a long time, but we're not even 20 minutes into the game yet, Cubby. That's how close that I feel like top positions are at the moment. And Gold obviously will tell you that. But just when it comes to their power spikes that they're reaching, right now it feels like FlyQuest Challengers are in a good position. But if they can start off the fight on their terms, these guys really can't do much about. But then the same is true for Disguise. Wait, oh, what in the world was that? Rubber band right there. That was definitely one of those ones where it's fake god. You're like, okay, what just happened? Can I get out of this one? Do I survive? Dodging away from the ult, but it's followed up, and he does not survive.
Spyrax buffers the Keeper's verdict, and now Disguise are going to be on the Baron. Young, though, he's currently
hunting,
fighting Faisal. They're forcing him out. Disguise don't want to stick it, so just a free kill going over to FlyQuest as they stretch the map, find the kill on the Spyrax, deny some waves, and put a little bit more gold in their coffers in the league.
Kind of want to look at the replay and see how Spyrax was able to buffer that one, because that was just wild looking.
I mean, if you want to take another look, maybe we have to go. Hey, we got the ability to do so. Let's go.
Right.
Q3, baby. It's a buffer. You can see him waiting for it.
Oh, it is. Yeah, look at that. Wow.
It's like Zenith Blade interacts the same way with Poppy. We'll be on the lookout and see if Winston can do that later. As Fake God actually really nice dodge from the solar flare, but just not enough. It does buy another flash from Winston, so well played by Fake God. I think Fake God played that out all right. Just too many resources put into the bot side. Fake God goes down. Now 15 seconds away from this dragon. FlyQuest still wants soul point. They want to end this game as soon as possible. 2 items onto the Kaisa, so that clock's ticking. They must secure this dragon.
This fight could make or break the game for
I want
either
FlyQuest
side.
to send it. You send it for this dragon.
Find this fight right now with all 5 members here. Look at Young, still in the mid lane trying to catch the wave. They're sending Faisal on this flank.
You can already see, even with 2 items, the poke from the Kaisa rather dire. As another one hits on the UG. Faisal does have a nice angle, but Disguise should be wary of this. Young has an angle himself. Winsome can't really stop him on the top side. Faisal yet to be spotted. Still tracking Young. That's good.
50% on the dragon. Here comes the ult. Faisal still not an angle to find himself in. They've got Yuji on the other side, but now you've got the Bash Bros on one side with the dragon secured. That's going to be the ult on Azazel, but the re-engage onto the back line, looking for Yuji, taking him low, but he's still alive. That's going to be this ult's failed. Almost being able to pick up the kill. They got one for Faisal while they're able to pick up Meech at the same time. It is a 2-for-1 at the moment. FlyQuest continue the hunt.
Spyrax.
Look at Spyrax chasing down Zazel, and he's got nowhere to dance himself out of there. And with the TP from Faisal, just to make sure they clean up Disguise.
Spyrax ends up being the hero of the fight. Disguise, yes, they deny the dragon, so no soul point for FlyQuest, but that's a big fight loss for Disguise. FlyQuest, much needed gold in their pocket. Spyrax was the one who had the lead in lane and was the saving grace in this fight. As we take another look, I thought Disguise, they're going to fully commit onto Faisal and Yuji. This gets stuffed all right by FlyQuest Challengers, and it buys enough time where Yuji was actually able to retreat out. Spyrax finds a great ultimate as the solo laners of FlyQuest sync up. They find Meech, and Masu was able to live in the back half. So with him surviving, the double solo laners being alive with both carries down for Disguise, FlyQuest were able to push really hard and get 4.
Get 4 for the price of only 1 in a dragon. Definitely worth it for FlyQuest. And we were just saying how that fight could make or break this game, and we were favoring FlyQuest going into that fight. They have now ballooned that lead up to 3,500. With the Baron up, they can easily start
I love this. I love this. Summoner spells are going to be down from Disguise. I know that Meech has none. It's a scary fight for Disguise's sake. They don't have 3 items yet of the Kaisa, and it's gone.
It's gone. They weren't even able to get into the pit. The TP is a bit too late. They might lose Winsome, but FlyQuest, they will take that trade any day of the week. Simply a support for 4 members with the Turo Baron buff.
You do not care. That is Leona. Spyrax, he's going to try and slam base right here, maybe? No, he doesn't get it. Spyrax, okay, that's good. That's really good for Disguise.
Really good. Making sure to get rid of it off of one member.
They're going to try and save him.
They're trying to save him. They need Spyrax to keep this one. They're forcing the fight. Look at how much damage was absorbed right there by Yuji and Faisal. They're getting a lot of the attention out of Disguise, while Masu free-firing, unstopped, untouched. The legend himself
Masu
coming up huge for FlyQuest.
Oh my goodness, the 4v5 gets turned around. Masu was able to free-fire. Young was never able to get into the back line. As now... Oh, he can't stop either of these. Spyrax could even chase him as it's spotted.
Yeah, spots him out. Dashing over the wall, though. Young will survive. And still, the 4-member strong of FlyQuest Challengers remain with the Turo Baron buff.
Great calls from FlyQuest. This is a gutsy game. I really feel like they are on a timer going up against Kaisa. As it's not going to be the Ludens, it will be the Rage Blade. There are a lot of champions that you can interact with as the Rage Blade for Kaisa. Not going to quite be the poke. But keeping Young out of these fights. Young is a Kali's damn good, man. He really hasn't been able to be involved in a lot of these fights because FlyQuest, they brought it to Disguise after the first fight. Said, hey, we're slamming Baron. You don't have sums on your marksman. Will you even contest us? FlyQuest using the strength that they have now, and then something I really credit FlyQuest for, something they've done well in the back half of the split. They're a good Baron team. When they get Baron, they take more and are able to close out games very quickly with Baron. So being able to play out 3 lanes this composition will really help them try and take all the structures. As you can see right now, they were split. They won 1-1-3'd. They got bot turret, and now they're going to 4-1, try and shift everyone up the top side, and even leave FlySol now behind to keep the 1-3-1 going in bot side so they get to spot the Poppy. FlyQuest doing a nice job of stretching the map and trying to get everything they can by playing 3 lanes with Baron.
And that's something we didn't even talk about, is that Disguise composition is very low range. They struggle to wave clear into a lot of what FlyQuest are now bringing to the table. Whenever you see them try to even dash forward, Spyrex, if he's matched up against Young, does about half his health every single time he tries to clear out these waves.
Oh, we have another engage. Zazel.
On to Zazel. Zazel just gets popped like a balloon as Winsome took so much damage for the team and a lot of the attention. Young can't snap himself back into that one as they're getting a lot of damage back onto Tomio. But keep an eye on Young. He's now in the back line and he wants to find that assassination onto Masu. But Masu not outplaying him this time. It's Young outplaying them. But they still got Mage. Oh no! Faisal fighting back. They punt away Spirits, but it's the top laners now skirmishing as Faisal. He's got the power, but Young, Big God not really wanting to fight against him anymore.
Oh my God, Young almost found that. I gotta say, Yuji, if you want to see any example of how much FlyQuest plays around Masu, we're gonna get a replay of this fight. Watch Yuji's flash. He flashed to catch a Shuriken flip. As Masu was going for the execute first off, it's a nice engage on the Zazel. 2 ults for that Rakan. Melts. Winsome gets in the back line, gets the cleanse out of Meech. Not a bad start to the fight for FlyQuest, as now Tomio goes low. But Fake God, you can see the work that he does. It's all armor for Fake God against a very 80 heavy team. Young was able to get into the backline. Watch this. Yuji's gonna flash to catch the Shuriken backflip, try to save Masu. That is honestly insane from Yuji, and it really does show how much FlyQuest plays around Masu. They're just burning flashes to catch skill shots to try and protect him. He ended up going down in the end, but that is really telling of how much FlyQuest prioritizes keeping their stud marksman safe. And now there will be one Summoner Spell down, but it's going to be a 5v5 round. Oh boy, here we go.
Looking for the fight. They're just going all out right now. They're on to Meech on the other side. He's locked down and he's killed by Faisal. But wait, can Young be a hero again?
Got Masu.
He got Masu. Both marksmen are down, but you still got to worry about the threats out of Spyrex and Faisal. Look at Spyrex. Look at them. They've got the double kill for Faisal, chasing down Disguise with nowhere to go. It's a double kill for Fake God, but that's the Poppy picking up a double kill while the Jax gets a triple and the Dragon.
Sloppy fight. FlyQuest winning out 3 for 2. They get that really much needed soul point as Spyrex continues to be huge in this one. Masu burned the stopwatch. He didn't have summoner spells. He was focused down. Didn't have access to that ultimate for that fight. So Disguise does a nice job of making sure Xayah falls. But Spyrex went unattended to in that fight and went off.
Yeah, Spyrex, Faisal, both of them were able to get into the backline nearly undeterred. Meech had no way to really play that fight at all and losing out on a lot of that damage, the poke that you can have. See where the gold now is allocated. Also, even if he fell in the fight, it doesn't matter because Faisal and Spyrex are both just as fed.
And I gotta say, we talked about how FlyQuest very heavy on physical damage this game. Disguise is really heavy on magic damage. Like, even the Poppy who has that Sunfire Cape running, it's pretty much 3-4 magic damage, you know, a profile from Disguise. And look at the inventories here for FlyQuest. It's a wit's end for both Spyrex and Faisal. And I would not be surprised if we saw something like a Hex Drinker coming out of the Xayah as well. So the composition's kind of enabling each team to itemize really well. And I think that we saw Spyrex there when Meech was taking out of the fight early, how easy it was for Spyrex to run down Disguise. They don't have enough damage without the Kaisa, and also the Wit's End just make sure that Spyrex really isn't threatened by anyone but the Kaisa, who still pumps out really heavy magic damage herself.
Gotta set up. That's the big thing for Kaisa. You gotta set up a lot of these fights. Same with Tomio on this Maokai. FlyQuest aren't giving him that opportunity to set up any of these fights, to kind of have things reset. This is probably the slowest we've had it, and still look at FlyQuest. Still playing aggressively, looking for these picks on Disguise at every turn.
Yeah, they're just gonna play in this pocket. Masu gonna start firing down onto the Baron. FlyQuest gonna fight for this control ward. Oh, he gets caught.
Gets caught. And he snapped back to reality. There it is. You gotta be careful because Meech watched that one. And a huge ult from Spyrex. Gets 4 members. The Turo Baron buff picked up by Fly. But now they've got to escape.
Young.
They've got all this damage. Young on Amasu yet again. Taking him out. Solo bolo for him. Right in the arms of Yuji. As the rest of the Skies continue to battle back. Your carries are gone. It's just fights the way you have to deal with. And Meech left untouched. Now cleaning off FlyQuest. They got nowhere to go. They've been burnt by the toes.
Young finds the execute on the Masu, and Meech was not taken down in the fight. He didn't have access to flash. He didn't even need it as Meech stays alive. Disguise able to protect him. This fight was a mess. We're going to take another look. It is Spyrex who takes a big chunk at the start. Meech goes in, but it's a big ult from Spyrex as it finds 4. But he goes golden. Yeah, Baron's secured, but Young, he is the game changer in this fight. He connects. Masu was not able to really be peeled. Young just one-taps the Xayah in the pit. The Leona wasn't there to slow things down. The Jax wasn't there to slow things down. Then it's just a front-to-back for Disguise on the other side with no marksman. Meech free fires for the entirety of the fight. Gets some big shutdowns, and now Disguise bouncing back in this game. That Kai'Sa got the 3 items. They wiped the fight, wiped the Baron off the map from FlyQuest. As this game 1's pretty back and forth, man. We're going to have another fight at Dragon. Hextech Soul on the table for FlyQuest. If they get this, that's a big game changer for them. This guy's going to be forced to contest.
Tick tock, tick tock. The timer is about to go off here for FlyQuest. As you can see these huge item spikes coming in from Disguise. And look at the damage that Meech did.
I mean, that was opened up again by Young, taking down Masu. That was critical. But this next fight, Masu's going to have access to all of his spells. Meech has flash as well. So both marksmen going to have to use that flash as well as they can, as most of the other flashes are down from that last Baron fight, Matt Magical.
A lot of things are down, but the ults are back up for everybody. That's going to be the big thing. As Yuji will find Zeyzal. He's got to dash away. They aren't set up in time just yet to fight back. As you can see, some crucial itemizations being picked up by FlyQuest, getting themselves that stopwatch there. The Zhonyas for Faisal. 4 items now on this Jax. And while we like the scaling of Disguise, you can never forget about the power Jax brings to late game fights.
I think all eyes are going to have to be on the marksman for this one. Guardian Angel for Masu completed. So was able to access that luxury item. That's going to be big. As an execute, execute from Young. Even on the Masu would not be enough, and it's going to be really 7 lives here for FlyQuest as they try to secure this soul. Faisal was able to get bot prio, so this guy's going to try and lean on some Maokai. Hope to slow things down with the Kai'Sa, as this will be spotted, and Young going to have to go over the wall here.
Has to go over the wall. Is followed up by Spyrex, but Spyrex realizes that all 5 members are there of Disguise, while Faisal still on this flank. Has been spotted out, so they know they're looking to engage the fight into FlyQuest instead. They've got rid of the ult there from Masu. Now he's susceptible. The re-engage coming in from Spyrex. They've got the dragon. It's secured by Disguise, but now you gotta get out. Look at Young on Masu. That Guardian's Angel is gonna help you in time. Flashing away. He does go back into stasis. Keep an eye though. Young is still on top of him while the rest of the fight's happening. Meech continues to go back. Meech continues to survive. He's fighting against Faisal, jumping on top of him. Get them both. No! Meech is out of there. They get the stopwatch out of Faisal. All the while, Spyrex will be cleaned up too once he's back from the Guardian's Angel. Disguise pulling off the miracle here in the late game and cleanly acing FlyQuest.
It's a 7-0 for Disguise. They take down both GAs. That was all off the back of Young, who found Masu in the back half. I think that in these fights, Winsome has to be by Masu to protect him from this Akali, to try and find some CC, try and find some space. Because in the 1v1, Young destroys Masu twice, and that's going to be all she wrote for this game 1. It's Disguise down in gold all game, but the scaling ends up coming up big as they find the last couple fights to take the win.
Winsome trying to be a hero, trying to defend the base, but it's way too late. Disguise, they've scaled up into the game, and game 1 will be theirs.
And this Akali from Young, it remains undefeated. It's now his most played of the split. And FlyQuest just didn't have an answer for it. There wasn't enough peel for Masu on the Akali, as they're like, hey, you're Xayah, we're going to leave you on your lonesome. But the early engage from Tomio and Zeyzal at the start of the fight, they blew both those ultimates to take away the ultimate from Masu. So yes, he had a GA in the fight. Yes, he had Flash. Yes, he had Cleanse. But Young, he got through all those to take down the marksman in a clean 5-0. And when he was out of the fight, Meech just free firing, pumping out DPS, doing what he does best. It is Disguise to reign supreme after game 1. Very close, tight game, but Disguise end up crawling back into that and finding the win.
They scaled, man. They scaled. That's what we were saying. It was the early game for Fly, the late game for Disguise, and that's why they got game 1. They held on for long enough to where they could break the backs of FlyQuest Challengers. But before we go to a break and get ready for our Rally Cry halftime show, do you want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Turo? The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Go over to Turo.com, rent yourself an awesome car. You can take awesome pictures, post it on Instagram, all that stuff. But guys, thank you for everything you do for us here on the LCS Challengers League, Turo. We really appreciate it. And for everyone else, we're going to toss to a break. Like I said, we'll be back for our Rally Cry halftime show.